What's up, everybody? Welcome back. If you got redirected from the Lori Vallow video, hit that like button before we jump fully into Leticia Stauch. I was planning on doing weekly updates, but I think it may be fun to jump in once in a while with some shorter videos breaking down just portions of this case. And today we heard a few hours really of telephone conversations between Albert Stauch, Gannon's dad, and Tisha, I think is what they call her. And they were on, at least most of them that I'm going to focus on today were on February 14th. Some of them were a little before that. But this is in the weeks directly following the crimes. And that's important because this whole case is banking on the not guilty by reason of insanity. So we're going to break down some of these phone calls. We're going to talk about how they affect the insanity defense and what you all think about her decision-making and what she's thinking and saying and feeling at that time. So if you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, especially if you're interested in this Leticia Stauch case, because this is a tough one. We're not necessarily covering it, recapping it every night, gavel to gavel. We're going to pick some parts to discuss. We are not going to talk a ton about the mechanism of injuries or things like that. We're really going to focus on her mental state, the not guilty by reason of insanity defense, as we did when we broke down the opening statements. If you haven't checked that out, go check out the opening statements breakdown that we did, I think yesterday. I don't know. My days are running together. But let's take a few minutes and talk about these telephone calls. So as you listen to her frantically explain, and we may play a little clip of it. I guess I can play a little clip of it if I can find it here real quick. As she frantically discusses of a version, and I say a version on purpose because she explains so many different versions of this case to her husband, who is talking to her on recorded, tapped phone calls by the FBI. And she is frantic. He is very clearly, I mean, to me, here's the thing, why you can kind of see this argued both ways. This is live, Tori. This is live. We're doing it live just to prove it. So it's very clear. I don't want to say he's messing with her, but he's using tactics like, yes, I love you, calling her baby, trying to get her to say certain things, and then immediately calling BS on her. He does that multiple times. She has told him 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different versions of stories of what happened to Gannon, why he's missing, where he is, what she knows. She eventually gets to a story by a person by the name of Quincy Brown, who abused her, I'll say physically, hurt Gannon and took Gannon and wants money. And every time he starts to question her about details, she starts to say, I want immunity. He's like, what? Why do you keep saying immunity? And then she eventually says, well, I want immunity because I didn't say anything at first, not because I committed any crimes or anything bad. It was also clear he didn't know where she was during some of these phone conversations, which is weird. Yeah, it seems pretty clear that Quincy Brown was a made-up person or somebody she knew was wanted because he Googled Quincy Brown and saw his mugshot. But it's very interesting to hear the back and forth as she continues to give more and more details about how she was tied up, what room they were in, how there was blood on the wall, what injuries Gannon may have had at what point, where he took them, where she picked them up from Craigslist. And he says stuff like, this guy you picked up on the side of the road and gave a burger to. He's like, yes, I'm being smart, but I need to know. And he eventually says, where is my son? So let's listen to just a couple minutes of one of these clips. I don't even have it queued up right. It might be right in the middle of it, but just so you can kind of get an idea as to what she sounds like on these phone calls that are tapped by the FBI. Yeah, I have it on 2x speed. She talks kind of quickly as it is, but we'll just listen to a little bit of it. Then we'll come back, talk more about it, answer some questions.
Big baggy pants on, and in his pocket, the paper fell out, and on top of the paper was his ID.
This is her explaining how she knows his name is Quincy Brown. He was wearing big baggy pants and some paper fell out of his pocket and it said Quincy Brown.
And his picture, Quincy Brown.
Okay, all right. All right, but what kind of boxes? What boxes was he taking out? Was they out of the storage room? What? I mean, what?
In the storage room.
Oh, you were in the storage.
Do what?
You did. That's the first you told me that you were in the storage room.
He tied me in the storage room.
I'm sorry, you were crying and screaming. I couldn't understand that part. So now I know you were tied up. You couldn't do anything because you were screaming and you had the bandana in your mouth. You were tied up. Is this after the police left and after Gannon and him were in the storage room, or before that, or what?
He's trying to get these details, right? And she keeps changing the story. As soon as a detail can't be proven, or I should say can be disproven, she changes the detail or said, no, that's not what I said. And that's important. Think about this. Piop asked the question, how deep are you going to go into the facts? I'm not. I'm trying not to talk about very many of the gruesome facts at all. What I'm trying to get out of this and these calls is, what do you all think is her mindset? And I will remind you, does she have such a mental defect that she does not understand what she's doing? Does she not understand right from wrong? Does she not understand the consequences of her actions? Because this is the important period of time. The day this crime occurred and the days following it, right? This is the time period. We're not talking years later. We're not talking years before. We're not talking her childhood. This is right when it happened. And does somebody who does not understand right from wrong, do they create stories and change stories in order to divert attention? Do they hide? Do they not come around? They're not remaining. It's not just that she's remaining silent, right? That would be one thing. But no, she's telling stories. She's scared. She wants immunity. Insane people usually don't want immunity, right? But she is telling such wild stories that I do kind of think the defense may be able to say, clearly something is wrong here. And clearly her husband is talking to her like a crazy person. Making those kind of arguments, using the words crazy and insane to stick with their theme that she was insane at the time.
To the police left late that night, I couldn't hardly realize that he was still in the house. Really, laying in the room and told him to shut the door and don't come out.
Okay. All right. So what boxes was he taking out of the storage room, or what?
Get details.
Okay, well, you brought that up, so that's huge. I mean, if he's taking boxes, what was in the boxes? I'm just trying to sort through all this, okay? Empty boxes, okay. So back up. Gannon and this Quincy Brown guy, they were in the storage room the whole time, and you were trying to point the police to the storage room?
I never told you that. I said when the cops went to the storage room, I was trying to tell them, hey, there's a bunch of boxes piled up here. I even went.
She's like, I didn't tell you that, right? Because he's obviously got a little tinge in his voice that he doesn't believe her. Look at her face, by the way. There was also a question in this case to the judge from the jury. She is making certain hand gestures and even maybe mouthing certain things. Are we supposed to consider that? A great question from an astute jury who's paying attention to everything. The judge wants to say, you are only supposed to consider the evidence from the witness stand, which is correct. And they talked about how that went up on appeal and how that's the legally appropriate response. I don't know if that's what the judge actually said. That's my guess is what he actually said. But it's very hard for the jury to disregard what people in the courtroom are doing or saying. And while it's not evidence for them to consider, it is something they're thinking about and looking at throughout the trial. How can they completely ignore it? But I think they're doing the right thing, and that does show they want to follow the law and do the right thing. They only want to consider what they're supposed to consider, which I appreciate that.
Went to the little Christmas closet and was like, yeah, please look through there really good.
But you did say that they were in there and that you tried to direct them somehow to the storage room. You did say that.
Not what I said. That is not what I said.
Okay, maybe I'm paraphrasing. Telling
him where hiding places were in the storage room.
Then where the fuck were they?
Should have done a little advisory there. There is some language in this. I don't think there's a lot of details of the injuries, but there is some language for anybody that doesn't want to hear it.
It all is relevant. Where were they at? You said earlier you heard him scream from the storage room. Okay? Where were they at?
There was no screaming when the cops were there. What are you talking about?
You know, honestly, I'm kind of getting fed up because you know what? Yesterday, in the 3 previous versions, okay, it all happened in Gannon's room. Now it all happened in the fucking storage room.
You see how he's being nice sometimes? Then eventually he's like, listen, this is BS. You're changing your story. And he lets her know. And he does a very good job. I know he's military, but he does a very good job of trying to get information out of her when she's clearly lying. But I just want to play a little clip of it so you can kind of get the vibe of what these telephone conversations were like.
Make your mind up. You banged your head on Gannon's table. You were raped in Gannon's room. Gannon was beat up. He was high-fiving the guy. He was jumping on him. He was loving him. Uncle Matt, he was a Mexican. It all happened in Gannon's room. Now it happened in the storage room. God damn it, T-shirts, make some sense out of this.
He's like, you've told me so many different stories with so many different details. None of them make sense. What are you talking about? What's going on? And then listen to how she responds.
That is before the police got there, Albert.
What time did all that happen? What time did that happen?
You asked me about the police got there.
Tisha, to me, this is all bullshit because none of it makes sense. None of the timeline adds up. Every time you tell it to me, there's more and different details.
And by the way, a lot of this audio on here, because of the phone recordings, even when I was listening to it before, they're not coming in super clear. Some of them are very low. He sometimes says, I can't hear you. So we'll just deal with it as they come.
So okay. Yeah, fine.
I have my life on the line.
Go get your fucking immunity. I hope you get it, because I don't want nothing bad to happen to you. I don't want nothing bad to happen to nobody. I want my son back.
So I think you get the general vibe of what the phone calls are like. And it's pretty wild and unfortunate with what Gannon's dad had to go through and what he's going through now testifying. John, I've heard insane minds are usually very intelligent. I don't know. Any thoughts? Yes. And somebody else said, I think she is mentally ill. She probably does have some problems. Obviously, to do something like this, you may have some problems, but that's why the legal definition of insanity is what we're really focusing on. Did she understand right from wrong? Did she understand the consequences of her actions? Did she know what she was doing? Not that it had to be sane, not that it had to be make sense or be logical, because it's not, and it doesn't, and it's horrible. But was she legally insane? And I do think that these recordings, and again, we always say, the defendant's own words usually have the largest effect on the outcome in their case. Tori, thank you, Peter, for letting me be part of the 2 Live crew today. So interested in both of these trials. When does not having to testify against a spouse apply? Different jurisdictions have different spousal immunity or spousal privilege. And usually you can't be compelled to testify against your spouse. Some jurisdictions, another spouse can block the spouse from testifying, but many jurisdictions, if the spouse wants to testify, they can. Additionally, they are no longer married. Some jurisdictions, it's at the time of the crime. Some jurisdictions, at the time of the trial, whether the spousal privilege applies. I don't know what it is in Colorado, but obviously it's not blocking this testimony. Thank you, D. Marsh. Thank you, Brooke. So Linda saying she knew right from wrong or she wouldn't have lied. I think it's pretty clear she knew what she did was wrong, right? That's the vibe I'm getting. Nicoletta, welcome. So at the end of the direct examination, the prosecutor asked a few questions. How long did you know Leticia, but while you guys were in a relationship, married, whatever, it was like 6 years. Did you spend a lot of time together? Yes, obviously. They got married. And did she ever have any mental health issues? No. He asked her he was asked throughout the recordings when they would pause them, was that how she always acted? Yes. Was this her normal personality? Yes. Was this a new personality? No. Was this a different personality than she had in the past? No. She could understand the difference between right and wrong. Her ex-husband and Gannon's dad testified to that. And he said she was 100% sane when all of this went down. He is sure of it. That is all going to be very compelling testimony. Very compelling testimony. He thinks she knows exactly what she was doing. Thank you, Azam. And this was how she always acted. This is how she always sounded. We heard about, she stole money from him in the past and lied and made up all these stories. He referenced that in one of the calls. And then eventually she admitted she stole the money. And that's exactly what she did here. This was her MO. This was not insanity talking. This was her manipulation. This was her lying. That's what he's testifying to, basically. And a lot of you are saying she knew exactly what she was doing. She knew exactly how to manipulate. Thank you, Ian. And that's what the state has to prove. That she knew she was trying to manipulate. So we will continue following aspects of this. I don't know how often I'll update it. You guys send me clips. You guys send me parts of the trial that you're interested in on Instagram and Twitter at Tragos Law. Right here is my handle. I appreciate you joining me for both lives today. Hopefully you hit that like button. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If anybody else is watching this trial and they want some breakdowns on the legal angles of not guilty by reason of insanity, not necessarily all of the facts being dug into, let them know. Share the channel. It's always appreciated. The more the merrier. I love getting a bunch of diverse, different thoughts and comments and different ways of looking at things and different perspectives in the chat. So I appreciate every single one of you that comes in here and shares your thoughts with me in the chat. That's all we got for this update. John will finish off with this. This has such a fine line. Same in math versus insane in calculus. So tough. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I think we all might be a little crazy, right, John? But that's okay. The point is, and the question is, not if we're all the same, not if we're all sane, but is she legally insane? That's the question. So once again, I appreciate all of you. Shauna said, been trying to watch the trial. Weird courtroom setup. Yeah, it is weird. Off topic. Have you considered covering New Jersey versus Zachary Latham? Love you, Pete. Haven't heard anything about it. So not at this point. We have a ton going on and some cases coming up as well. So if enough people ask about it, I'll look into it. So you guys all see now New Jersey versus Zachary Latham. Thank you, D, again for another super sticker and all of your guys' comments and perspectives. I always appreciate it. Until the next one, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching another episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the thumbs up and share with your friends who may be interested here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok at Tragos Law is our handle. And don't forget to listen to the Lawyer You Know podcast featuring new episodes every week. If you have a case you want to talk to us about, if it's a personal injury case, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accident, or slip and fall case, please email us at lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. And of course, all these links I just mentioned are included in the description below on this episode and every episode. So until next time, this is Peter Tragos, the Lawyer You Know.